And he was right. This was before Christmas, and he said, your mom has 3 months.
All right, it's quick then. They had nothing to slow down.
And she died on March 13th.
Hmm.
3 months later.
Was she at home or she go to the hospital?
She was home.
Yeah.
She was home with me the day she died.
Yeah.
Said goodbye to Charles.
I went to work.
Yeah.
I said goodbye to her, not knowing that this was the last time.
Yeah.
And she called me in, and she said, well, I'm going to go today. It was pouring rain. And I said, where you going? And she said, this is my last day. And you know me, I try to joke around her, but I said, oh, come on now, it's pouring rain, you can't go anywhere. And with that, it was so strange, I can't even talk about it. She looked at me and she said, I'm really going. And then she blessed my hands, and so that I had the hands of an angel, and thanked Charles for all his goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that morning she said, you be good to my daughters.
Yeah.
Oh, and she was dying, and this is the funny part. She says, when I go at my funeral, you dress up nice. And from then on, don't wear black.
Okay. What did you wear now?
Yeah, and don't wear black.
Mm.
And to this day, I never owned a black dress
Yeah.
because of her wishes. But, and then she just looked up, her eyes went up, and she said, I see the Blessed Mother.
Oh.
And that was it, that was her last breath. So then I called my neighbor across the street, and she took care of us so her mouth wouldn't drop open and stuff on the police.
Oh,
But
yes.
that was the end of that generation. And then my aunt Venice died after my mother.
Mhm.
And she died of a very massive coronary.
Yeah.
And Aunt Martha lived, who was the sickliest one.
Yeah, she's still around, right?
No, she died at 99,
When was that? 2 years ago or something?
2 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay.
But she was sick from the day I realized she was my Aunt Martha.
Mhm.
And my mother used to say, oh, poor Aunt Martha, she's not going to live too long. She's always sick. And well, she was. She had a lot of arthritis. But she'd say she's not going to live long. And she outlived all of them. Yeah.
Mm.
We were poor, but as a child, it never occurred to me that we were poor.
Mhm.
Yeah, my sister Mary was the one that had to work the most because she used to walk to work, which was
Where did she work?
at the candy factory.
Oh, candy factory. Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't. I went through school, and then I went to business college for 2 years. And
Yeah.
so,
Oh, you went to business college?
yes.
Harvard, you know.
Oh.
No.
The business college.
Right in Stratton, and then I went
Stratton
for
was Bob.
Hey.
no. Then
Hey,
I went to Harvard for a what do you call that course?
MBA.
Economic.
Economics?
Yeah, in the economic area.
Okay. Hey, she's more qualified to run a business than you are.
I
Oh,
know.
sure.
Yeah. I did all the bookkeeping and everything.
No wonder things work so well.
Yeah, so, anyway, and then my mother used to say that I had a fella for every season.
Mm.
So, spring, fall, winter, summer, I did.
Yeah.
And I worked in an office after I finished school. And then they wanted to take me to New Haven from Boston because they were moving their office, this place from Boston to New Haven. And at the time, I was not married or anything. I said, no way. And I can't leave my mother. And she wasn't about to leave Boston.
Yeah.
And then I worked for H.M. Tower Corporation. No, H.M. Tower.
Right.
The laundry place. What the heck? I can't even think of the name of it now.
H&M Tower.
No, H.M. Tower was on Boylston Street.
That's radio.
Yeah.
You
They
must-
make
Oh.
the Gibson refrigerators and things like that. I had a beautiful office. It was a huge big office.
Among other things, when you say that she's more qualified from you, when I was in college, some guy that started the radio business in music center, and that was music was centers, they invited, the owner invited me to take his place, and I was there for 2 years in charge of a radio department. I was making radio sets. If I call the names, you know, it's fantastic, nobody believes that I sold the radio sets. I made them, I sold them to
You had little crystals in there with little
crystals,
Yeah,
and then
my brother Joe
began
made
to
the crystals.
put one, two.
From an oatmeal box.
Yeah,
He'd take
a house key.
the oatmeal box and he'd wind it
Oh,
close together.
wind up
And then
and
you
down.
had this needle come down
Right, and
on the
slide along
crystal.
there. Okay.
And oh, but my brother had a very elegant one. We had a console he made, and on this console was a glass case. And from this glass case was this little diamond or whatever you called it, you know.
The stylus that it moved
Yeah.
across the crystal.
And the thing that you moved was up on the top. So you kept going around this little thing down here until you get the right.
Spot.
And then we had one pair of earphones.
Okay.
So my mother would listen through this one and I would listen through
Oh,
this
that's
one.
the old, yeah, that's the old, I remember building those as
Yeah.
demonstration models.
The first one my brother built on an oatmeal box. It was, you know, twirled it around. That was funny. But that lasted us a long time. We had that for a long time. Until I worked for this radio place and then we bought a Bosch.
In New York, Darius Guerinas went through across the Atlantic, and they were shot down in southern Germany. I participated in that group's activities in New York, and then after they died there, I organized Darius Guerinas Air Club in New York, and we had very good, what to say, following.
This is the Air Club?
Air Club, yeah. My first airplane that we bought, we called Flying Horse.
Okay.
It's a biplane, one, of course, in those days there were only one motor, a 6-cylinder straight. I don't remember.
Inline 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long
That's right.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah. How old were you when you met Charles? You must have been,
How old was I? 27.
oh, you must have had a lot of boyfriends before him then.
Oh, and
oh, jeez.
How?
I hate to tell you.
Oh, have to ask you to leave to talk about this?
I hate to tell you how many boyfriends I told you my mother said summer, winter, fall, and
Oh,
spring.
okay. Yes.
They were all nice fellas. I had one Harvard guy, one
Dennis,
Dartmouth.
including the Lochka, who I took him to take my editorship. That was her boyfriend also.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody was afraid. They didn't have enough nerve to marry that kind of girl. I said, no, there's nothing.
No nerve to marry her?
No
George
horse.
just said that I
No
was,
horse.
he was afraid to ask me because I was very strong-minded.
No, okay.
The other boys I just refused. They wanted to go steady. And anyone I went out with, I said, now look, no steady business. I love to dance. And I went out with a lot of fellas that loved to dance. And we
Okay.
used to go out every
No, she
Saturday
wasn't.
night dancing.
Then she was waiting for a rich man to come.
No, oh, I didn't get married to a millionaire.
Well, then you can discover that you could.
You married him for his dancing skills?
But
You married him for his dancing skills?
no, I don't know why I married him, to tell you the truth.
It wasn't because he was rich, it wasn't because of
Well,
his dancing skills.
no, he had none of that. But when he went to Europe, when we first met and he went to Europe, he started sending me postcards and calendars and postcards. And,
No calendars, I bought them here.
well, wherever.
Yeah.
But
Instead
I got all
of
these
Christmas
jokes.
postcard to Dennis, I sent her a calendar.
Yeah.
Oh, calendar.
Yeah.
That's what did it.
Instead of a gift, I get a calendar. And I'm thinking, what does he want from me? I wasn't even interested. But when he came back, he kept inviting me to New York, so we'd go to the opera, pay my way. Once came with an airplane with this, well, he's dead now. He was in an airplane crash himself.
Eastern Airlines
He was a
captain,
pilot.
Paul Sultanis. And he was the one that I involved him in the flying business.
Yeah. And he and his didn't.
Oh, okay.
But he kept
Switched
going.
off.
Yeah, but that was due to his co-pilot. His co-pilot, do you remember?
Yeah, he took the co-pilot that nobody wanted to fly with. He had a family problem and he was on suicidal like. And he Paul put his finger on his
As a
shoulder.
matter of fact, Paul wrote a letter before he went on that trip that, you know, he was going with this man and he didn't trust his ability and so forth. And he was killed, and he was a nice fellow. So they came to Boston to pick me up, to take me to
Yeah.
New York.
By plane.
Luckily, I was not home. I was out on a date. And I came home, my mother says, do you know who came and called? And I said, I don't know. So she says, Vinishkis and, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're here with a plane to take you to New York. I wouldn't have gone.
Not yet.
At that time, you
Not
couldn't
yet.
get me to go by plane.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had a,
When you went back to Europe for the last time, I remember stories about you driving across Europe on a motorcycle.
yeah.
I took motorcycle with me, yeah, I made a lot of miles in there. And one, my classmate from high school times, yeah, she became opera singer there. And so I got the invitation, she had this concert given in
Don't cut it all
Schooling
off.
for
Wasting it.
local benefits there. And I got, so somebody came visiting with me and I had no time
Yeah.
to make that, and I was shooting like mad on a motorcycle, and I came where I had to turn. I know I can't make a turn. I had to go straight. Went right straight to the potato field,
Oh,
and I got up, dusted myself off. The 3 or 4 young men came to my help looking for, and they helped me to push this motorcycle. I had a big Harley Davidson. In those days, that was the biggest
yeah.
motorcycle in the
Yeah,
You
country.
can tell them how you took
No,
it.
here, I bought it New York State
Yeah.
New York State Troopers.
Yeah.
I bought that motorcycle. And then I took it to
Continue
Europe.
the story.
Huh?
Over the Williamsburg Bridge.
Oh, I bought that motorcycle. I never had a motorcycle under me. I used to be a
You
wizard.
never even
wizard
driven one.
on a bike. On a bike, I was a wizard. It's
On a
almost
bicycle,
like
but not a
an
motorcycle.
exhibition club with the bike. But this thing I never had under me. Now, it was 4 o'clock, I just closed the deal with them there, and I have to go over Williamsburg Bridge, and that has only one lane,
Right.
going each side. It's on
On rush hour.
those days, that 4 o'clock, the rush, but I had plenty of room, about 50 feet in the back of me, and about 50 feet in front of me. This 50 feet, I reserved for myself.
Yeah.
This 50 feet, they reserved for me. They wouldn't dare to go
Oh, did you?
Because you're weaving.
Oh, and now,
Back
the legs stretched out with me in this way and that way. But I got home without accident.
Then he took that to Europe.
How'd you get across there? By steamship?
By steamship, yeah.
Oh, okay. And you drove through Europe. That must have been fun. And ended up in the potato patch.
Tell him how you almost killed the Balkunas.
Yeah, that summer in 1938, Monsignor Balkunas, I came in Kaunas there, on one street, and I zoomed. I had to change because somebody else was coming. So I had to change, and they were 5 or 6 priests. They were visiting. I didn't know a thing that they were in there. They were he was stepping off the sidewalk and almost knocked them off.
He looked it down. If he was speaking somewhere, he would say, in Lithuanian, you know, Kaziukas mane kaina suvažinėja. You know, Charlie almost killed me in
No.
Well, we've had a lot of good experiences and a lot of bad ones, but what can you do? That's the way life goes. I think I was absolute saddest part was when Ginny was born. That shook us up so badly that I didn't think I'd survive it, but she's such a sweet gal. And
Yeah, there's a lot
she
of,
was absolutely beautiful when she was little.
what, the blonde hair?
Oh, God, she was gorgeous. It was almost like, it was not blonde, it was almost so yellow and white. And the curls were down in her. She was just gorgeous. I think that was about the worst thing in my life that I can say.
I'll tell you the truth, I didn't even think about that.
And oh, now I don't
No,
either,
It just doesn't even occur to me.
but, I had never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard it before, and then all of a sudden this is there. Yeah.
And of course, blaming myself all the time until my doctor came in and he said, "Will you stop that? It has nothing to do with you."
Yeah.
But
Katie,
you're wasting an awful lot of
Katie,
time.
you're gonna have to, okay. Why don't we take a pause for dinner here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really soon.
Let's see. What's the self-destruct here?
6:30. Do you know you've been talking for over an hour?
Oh no, more than that.